one day somebody does something unspeakable to someone else, to someone you hardly knew, and you do something about it because you can.
This story comes to us from WEAU 13 News. A former police sergeant was arrested after he allegedly used seized THC vapes as payment for home repairs. Yeah, according to court documents, Mark Anthony Hayes Jr. allegedly seized 788 vapes suspected of containing THC from a smoke shop in Darlington, South Carolina on October 13, 2024. Almost 2 months after he seized the vapes, an anonymous police informant was brought to Hayes' house to fix his water heater on December 4th of 2024, according to an affidavit. Once the water heater was fixed, Hayes allegedly drove the informant to the Darlington Police Department after 10 p.m. and gave him 3 cases of vapes matching those seized on October 2024, the 13th. The 3 cases had a street value of more than $2,000. Hayes was arrested after the Darlington Police Department asked the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division to investigate. Hayes was charged with breach of trust, with fraudulent intent, and misconduct in office. He was booked into the Darlington County Jail, but has since been released. Now, Hayes worked with the Darlington Police Department from 2011 to 2014, and again from 2018 until his arrest. He also worked for the Darlington County Sheriff's Office and the Florence County Detention Center. and the story of another dishonest cop whose plans to repair his home basically went up in smoke, and he gave it to a police informant. And now we have a follow-up story from MLive. 3 years ago, Patrick Lyoya's death at the hands of a police officer grabbed the nation's attention during a time when tensions between law enforcement and the public were high. I did an editorial on this original story. The high-profile case began with a traffic stop in April of 2022 in a neighborhood on Grand Rapids' southeast side. Lyoya, a 26-year-old Congolese immigrant, was pulled over by Grand Rapids police officer Christopher Schurr because the plate didn't match the vehicle. Lyoya fled on foot from the stop, but Schurr caught up to him. The two struggled over the officer's taser. Schurr, while on top, shot Lyoya, who's a black man, in the back of the head. The altercation was captured in part on body cam and dash cam footage. It's disturbing. A passenger in Lyoya's vehicle recorded a portion of the struggle on his cell phone. Now, Lyoya's death came nearly 2 years after the George Floyd was murdered by a white Minnesota police officer, Derek Chauvin. The encounter divided many in Grand Rapids and thrust the city into the national discussion about policing of minority communities. In the days after Lyoya's death, protesters marched side by side with Lyoya's family throughout Grand Rapids streets, demanding justice. 2 months went by before the Kent County Prosecutor's Office announced a second-degree murder charge against Schurr in June of 2022. He was fired from the Grand Rapids Police Department days later. A Grand Rapids District Court judge ordered Schurr to stand trial that October after listening to evidence. From there, legal proceedings dragged as Schurr's attorneys brought appeals to the State Court of Appeals and then the State Supreme Court. The State Supreme Court ruled last December it would not hear arguments in the case. A jury has been picked, and the trial is set to begin April 28th, this Monday, in Kent County Circuit Court. That's tomorrow, actually. Ahead of the high-profile trial, MLive, the Grand Rapids Press, reviewed its archives and other information and looked back at how this landmark case started. I need to learn to read. It was 8:11 a.m. on April 14th of 22 when Schurr stopped Lyoya on Nelson Avenue, north of Griggs Street, because his car looked like one that had been reported stolen and the license plate didn't match the car. Schurr told Lyoya, who was intoxicated, to stay in his car, but he soon ran. The officer stopped him before the two struggled over the officer's taser, which Schurr had deployed twice but failed to hit Lyoya. Lyoya was on the ground trying to get up when the officer got on top of him, fired a shot into the back of his head. Michigan State Police took over the investigation. Schurr was placed on paid leave during the investigation phase. Grand Rapids Police Chief Eric Winstrom released dash cam, cell phone, and body cam video 9 days after the altercation. In the days after Lyoya's death, protesters began flooding the streets chanting, "Justice for Patrick." Activists packed Grand Rapids City Commission meetings, and on at least 2 occasions, their chants forced the council to adjourn early. Lyoya was laid to rest April 22nd at Resurrection Cemetery in Wyoming. The graveside service followed a celebration of life at Renaissance Church of God in Christ in Grand Rapids, with over 1,000 people, including Reverend Al Sharpton, in attendance. State police turned its investigation over to Kent County prosecutor Chris Becker on April 28th of that year for review. Becker's office announced a second-degree murder charge against Schurr on June 9th. Now, it goes, he was hired in 2015 and then terminated. A preliminary examination was initially scheduled to begin that July. The hearing aims to determine if there is enough evidence to proceed to trial in circuit court. After 2 adjournments, the proceeding got underway in October. Lyoya's passenger who took the video, a homeowner who witnessed part of the struggle, and a Grand Rapids police captain were among those to testify. The trial was initially set to begin March of 2023. However, Schurr's defense filed an appeal to the Michigan Court of Appeals, which ruled months later that Schurr should stand trial. They were sure that Schurr would be on trial. The defense then filed an appeal to the state Supreme Court. The higher court ruled this last December, or they're not going to hear it. They don't want to hear it. They want him to go to trial. A trial date was set within days of the ruling for the Lyoya family. It's been more than 3 years of waiting for justice. Schurr has been free on bond since his arraignment. How about that? Trial testimony will begin, like I said, tomorrow in Kent County Circuit Judge Christina's courtroom. Becker will prosecute the case. Schurr is represented by defense attorneys Matt Borgula, Mark Dodge, and Michaela Hamilton. Schurr's state of mind will be at issue in his upcoming murder trial, not what Patrick Lyoya was thinking before their deadly confrontation, a judge previously ruled. Schurr has not decided whether to testify, his defense team previously said, but court filings suggest he will. The use of the taser is expected to be a key issue at the trial. Both cartridges were discharged, but it still could be used as a drive stun device when pressed against the skin, and that's correct. For all of MLive's coverage on the case, visit here, it says, and I put a link there. So if you go to the description box in my video, there's a link to the story, and under that, the link where you can keep, I guess, updated. I guess they're going to update it with new information. We'll see. But that's true. He could have stunned the back of his neck because even the cartridges are to shoot that thing, the dart, and then to get you. Well, if there's no cartridges, he just put it against his neck. No, he basically, in my humble opinion, executed him. It was an execution. And cops are not paid to execute people. Now, I could see if it was a different scenario and the guy was fighting and they were fighting over his gun, whatever, but he was sitting on top of him, and I've seen the video. Lyoya is face down, and they are struggling, and he just puts a gun to the back of his head and executes him. Mob fashion. But we're going to see now what's going to happen if he's going to be convicted. Don't think, oh, well, he's going to trial. This is it, buddy. Yeah, well, we thought that in Rodney King's case too, but they were all acquitted. So, but now it's up to the jury to see if Schurr will surely go to prison.